Hi guys, welcome to new video. So today we'll continue with the map creation process, and in the last video we are actually focusing on the defense locations, but I forgot to cover those two group of units near the bridge. So let me just fix it really quickly. We will just make a new location, place it right here, and next one next to it. And I mean we can just name it like Empire Bridge Defense. And it will be Bridge Defense 1 and Bridge Defense 2. Of course, I could just use the Empire Defense 1 and then Swordsman's like 4 and Pikeman's 2, I believe, but I mean, this will be much easier. So let's make it like this. Now I will reopen the editor, I mean trigger editor, go back to Army, to Empire, and copy one of the defense triggers. So of course I will use swordsman's, so it's much easier for me. And let me just choose the location. So we have, let me just name it as we named the location, so Empire Bridge Defense 1. And there are actually 6 swordsmans, I believe. So it will be like this, and then I will just copy that and rename it to 2, change to Pikemans, and choose the second location. So this was just a really quick addition to the things that we forgot in the previous part, but yeah, we fixed it really quickly. So let's go back to the trigger editor and let's continue with the other triggers. So I have them prepared here in Beast folder. So first we have the Beast Army starter, but that is actually something that we will use a little bit later. So I will just keep it on this position, but right now we will focus on Army, which will be actually the process of creating units. As you can see, this trigger actually has a condition. So as you can see, it's an entity condition. So you need to go to entities and values, and I believe that's the first one. So you will choose the first one, then you will add with values here number behind it, and you will just make something like this. So and here you have the number of the player that you are working with. Then we will choose a building that it needs to check if it's alive actually, and then you will choose a location where it needs to check it is alive. Then you will set level to greater equal, and here you will have 0, more or equal 1. You just set it up like this, and it's going to work. So first, since we are working with beasts, I will go to beast buildings and choose arena, and we will need to create a new location. So I will go to this town, and you want to create a location around this size, and you want it to be on a corner of that building. Yeah, you can also place it like here, but I usually place it on the corner, and it works really well. So let's make it like this, and then you will add all those actions. So in entities, you will find create entity, you will add 2-second delay, then you will add control entity, then you will add another delay, which is the time that we will actually need to work with a little bit later, and then you will add restart, because that will be actually a cycle that will be constantly producing units for that player from that building. So once you add this, you will choose the player, the same player that you chose in the condition here. You will choose the same location, so that will be this location. Of course, I will need to rename this to Beast Arena number 1, because as you can see we have 2 of them here, so I will need to add a number there. So let's just name it Beast Arena 1. And now I will also need to add the unit that I wanted to create there. So let me actually just check the tech tree, because we already set up everything, I believe. Or it actually seems like I have not worked on researches yet, but yeah, we'll actually need to fix this later, because we have not researched anything for that player, or I don't at least see it. Maybe we did something for other other races, but it seems like we didn't do anything. Yeah, actually here we have something for player number 1, but other players don't have anything. So if we actually decide to upgrade the berserker training, then there is no point in creating warriors there. But if we don't do that, then we can create warriors. So let's actually make it a little bit easier. Let's not make berserkers, let's make warriors. So let's go back to trigger editor. Here we will choose in beast units the warrior unit. The same thing applies here. And actually what this is going to do is that it will check if the arena is alive, that's in that location, and if it is alive, it will continue with those actions, and it will create the unit on that position, so next to the arena. Here you can set the amount, so we are creating it one by one. And after 2 seconds, the unit that you created there will move from that area to another area, which will be actually a bigger area where we will be grouping up all the units that are being created in all buildings, and from there we will actually attack move to the town of player number 1 with the attack trigger. So that will be something that we will cover a little bit later. So right now the last thing we need to set up here is to change this to move, and then you need to create the second location, which will be Beast's army. Of course, you can also create multiple armies if you want different attacks. So let's actually maybe make it a little bit simpler here. Just make one bigger army. Of course, there is not like too huge space where I could group up those units, but hopefully this will be enough. Of course, again, we'll need to test everything and see if it works fine or not. Also, it will be kinda hard to go from that town with all those units, so I don't know if it will work, but I mean, you can fix it later if it doesn't. So let's just create a location here. Let's click OK and rename it, so it will be Beast Army 1. And also we will need another location, which will be location in this town of player number 1. Let's make it a little bit bigger so it covers the whole area. And I mean, since we chose the color green here, I will just name this the green town. Of course, you can name it blue if you want, because you can see blue color here, but if you want to see green color, you can also just adjust this here. Yeah, you click on the entity you want, and here from use player color, you will just recolor it, and then you will see also in the editor the color that you set up in the player properties here. So now let's make more locations for all the buildings. So let's make another here. That will be arena number 2. Then we have the goblin hut here, a lizard fortress, of course, and also the bestiary. That should be everything. Yeah. Manticore doesn't produce any units. The same applies to lizard keep. Also the Dark Altar and the Weapon Master, and also stables and of course Stronghold. So the only production buildings are the ones that I already covered with locations, so let's rename all of them. Also we can maybe move this above all the other locations, so we can see everything a little bit more clearly, and also the army should be below all those buildings. So this will be Beast Arena number 2. Then we have Beast Goblin Hut, Beast Lizard Fortress. Actually, here I miswritten it. Only one Z is supposed to be here. And then we have the bestiary actually. Bestiary. So it should be like this. Right now we'll just save it, open the trigger editor, and we'll just copy this trigger. Of course, we don't need to create all the units, so maybe, of course, let's rename this to warriors. but maybe we will be attacking with just, or I mean the AI will be attacking with just 2 or 1 unit, so we will need to figure that out. Here we have the second arena, so I will keep the entity here, I mean the type, and I will only change the location for everything here. I can also keep the army that it's moving to, and I will also change the unit. So maybe, I mean, we'll still have the goblin hut there, so maybe we could be creating like witches here. So let's change this to witch, and also let's rename it right here. And now we will copy it once again, choose another area, that will be the goblin hut. So I will need to change the building right here to goblin hut, change the location once again, and of course the army location will still stay the same, and right here we'll be creating goblin hunters. I mean, I could be also spawning there like goblin riders, but that wouldn't be too good, I think, and they would also get stuck there. The unit is pretty slow, so let's just make it more simple and create goblin hunters there. Also, once again, don't forget to name everything goblin hunters. So we have 2 more buildings left. We have the lizard fortress and bestiary, so let's start with the lizard fortress. And here I will actually make it a little bit easier for me to work with it, because I will just choose Striders, because I could also choose the other units, but I mean Warlocks are a little bit more special because they don't even attack, they only have abilities, so it might get a little bit complicated there. And if I made Wyverns, then it's a flying unit, so they would just fly in front of the rest of the army, and it wouldn't be too good just. So I would need to create a separated army for them, different timers. So let's just make it pretty simple, and let's just choose Strider here. Of course I could just copy the exactly same trigger here that will be producing from the same building, and I will just change the unit. Yeah, you can also create multiple units from single building, but right now I'm not gonna do that because I don't think we really need that. So let's just change to Lizard Fortress here. Let's check all the locations and again rename this to Striders. And now we will choose the last one, which will be actually the bestiary. So let's choose it here. And once again, here we could also add Manticore Riders, but I don't want to add any flying units. So we have only 2 options left, which are Ogres and Trolls. And I mean, I will probably just choose Troll because it's just another unit from really long range, which is something different than all the other units, while in the front we already have warriors, so there will be something different and hopefully more interesting. So let's rename it to Trolls, and this should be everything once again. So right now, of course, I will close it, save it, and reopen it. And again, let's collapse everything so we can see clearly what's happening here. I will move the attack down, and now let's actually open the beast army starter. And now we will need to time everything. So first you will need to decide when you want the enemy to attack, and I actually don't want enemies to attack me before I conquer this point, so I will make it like this. Let's actually create a location that will be behind this area. I mean, right now we could go around it, so maybe we'll need to create a different area. Actually, this will be maybe a little bit harder than I originally thought, but maybe we could make a condition so you need to kill all of those 12 units. It will be quite long condition, but I hope it will work. So yeah, let's make it actually like this, or we could also make it with a location that will check that there is 0 units but I'm not exactly sure if that's the best idea. But let's try it. Yeah, so we will make a location. We will name it like bridge, and now I will go to base, create a new scenario trigger. Of course, disable it, and here I will add start trigger, and that will start Beast Army starter. And I mean, with the Beast Army starter, we'll be starting all the other triggers. But here we will need a condition. So let's actually steal it from one of the triggers I already created. So maybe we can choose the army trigger here. So it will be this one, and the condition will be that we are checking for player number 3 because the bridge is defended by the Empire player, which is the player number 3, and we need to check for all entities, or I mean I could just ignore the towers and add 2 conditions here for swordsmen and pikemen, but let's keep it like this. Of course we'll choose the bridge, and as you can see right now it's checking if there is more or equal to 1, but we will actually need it to be equal to 0. So hopefully it will work like this, or actually this should be maybe 1 because it's actually greater or equal 0. So we will need to test this later. Of course, right now again we are just creating something to work with later, not something that needs to work right now. And here we'll just rename this bridge and go back to the army starter. So here we will actually need to add some more delays and also work with all those triggers. So since we created this, that means that everything here will start after we conquer this bridge, and at that moment the enemy will start to produce units and also attack us. So let's say that the attacks will come from this town, of course, will come every 300 seconds. So I will go to beast attack, and here I will add 300 seconds delay. As you can see, I already created here everything before the video once again. So we have delay, then we have control entity, we have player number 2, so that's right. And here I will choose the location of that army, so that's the beast army 1, and we are attack moving to the town, so that will be the green town right here. So this is the attack. As you can see, I will just add it on the start of this army starter, and also I will add here the first army. But I mean, since we are creating in different buildings, I won't even need a delay here. If you are creating multiple units in the same building, multiple types of units in the same building, you will probably want to add some delays, so you are not spawning all the units at once. But since I will be creating everything in a different building, I can be just spawning everything at the same time. So let's just add all those triggers. As you can see, we have like 5 different units that we will be attacking with. And right now you need to set up all the times. So again, let's collapse everything, reopen it, and we will need to set up all the armies. So let's actually expand them, and now you will need to count a little bit because you know that you will be attacking every 300 seconds. So we will need to add the number we want here. So for example, if we want him to have like 6 warriors, that means you need to divide 300 by 6, and that will be 50. So since I have 2 seconds here, I will need to add here 48. Of course, again, this is really something that we will need to adjust later when we will be testing everything, but right now let's keep it like this. Yeah, maybe he will have like 3 witches, so let's make it 98 here. Then he might have like 8 goblin hunters or something, or not, maybe even 10. So that would be 30. So let's actually make it like 35. So it will be 33 because you have 2 here. Then we can continue with striders. Again, probably don't need too many of them, so let's make it like 58. So there will be 6 of them. Oh, sorry, not 6, but 5, because we have 60. So 60 times 5 is 300. And then we have trolls, which I don't think he needs too many of them. So let's make it like 120, which will be like 2 or 3 trolls. So yeah, this is the timing, of course. Again, we will change this later, but right now I just wrote some numbers that won't totally destroy the player number 1, hopefully, but it will also not be like super easy. And of course we already set up the attack. So this is everything for this player, and I mean the video is already quite long, so we will leave the Empire player number 3 for the next video, and of course we will be doing the same exact thing. So I'll be just making lots of locations for all those production buildings and producing lots of units. But here we will actually have lots of free space for those armies, so maybe we can make it a little bit more complicated. Also maybe make some flying attacking armies. Yeah, so he's attacking with some Valkyries from this side as well, which will make it again a little bit more complicated. Yeah, you will maybe need to make some towers here or just defend yourself with some Valkyries. But of course we'll think about that in the next video, and again we can also adjust it later once we start testing everything. So yeah, take care guys.